So we're talking about the genocide of Palestine, Gaza, West Bank, Bethlehem. And I'm taking a look at Donald Trump's, his entire 4-year presidency. And I'm kind of looking at this Golan Heights thing and this embassy move to Jerusalem. And I want to talk about it. So a couple things that Donald has done. Well, he called a bunch of poor countries shithole countries. He said that the Nazis were very fine people. He about started a civil war with that January 6th lie. He straight up lied, and he's going to get impeached for that. Sean Spicer had his alternative facts. There was a 5-year Muslim ban. The largest attack on the Capitol since 1812 was January 6th. James Comey is going to get fired. Then you had the Mueller report, which actually the Mueller report did kind of show that MSNBC was pushing this narrative that Russia was controlling Donald. And then the investigation found out that there was no collusion. But there was some criminal activity, and he left it up to Congress. But ultimately, his conclusion was no collusion. The embassy was moved to Jerusalem. Golan Heights was taken. Ilhan Omar, there was a chant that said, "Send her back, send her back." He was impeached twice. First with the quid pro quo with Ukraine. There was the George Floyd protest, which George Floyd got killed May 25th, 2020, and the protest started the day after. The first debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump was absolutely insane. They were just talking over each other, and neither one of them actually. It was interesting. They talked about different ideas, but it was a clash of civilizations. COVID, his response to COVID was ridiculous. First, it was to pretend that there was no COVID. What COVID? COVID? There's no COVID. And then it was it's all under control. Then it was don't do the testing. If you don't do the testing, you won't know for sure. You won't know for sure who's got the COVID and doesn't have the COVID. And then he claimed, they rigged the election. So those were a lot of the bad things. Some of the good things. Donald took on the FBI and CIA intelligence agencies. So, they could say that the deep state was after Donald to begin with. And that would almost make RFK Jr. sort of a natural ally when it comes to the intelligence agencies. The intelligence agencies are the ones that Bush said the WMDs he was lied to. The intelligence agencies had lied to him. The government shutdown is going to happen right at the end of his tenure, which is interesting because when the Iraq War had began, they said that we couldn't shut the government down because that would leave our troops out in the field without any support or any money or any weapons or uniforms and the supplies that they need. So when they shut the government down, they are shutting the entire military-industrial complex down. So for a moment, I'm not sure how long that government shutdown had lasted, but the military-industrial complex purse strings was cut. He said that the trees needed to be raked, and sometimes the trees do need to be raked. He had that criminal justice reform. That was an interesting one. And then diplomacy with North Korea. It's better to be diplomatic with people around the world. So the diplomacy with North Korea did give me a sigh of relief because we keep on pushing North Korea. And if we keep pushing North Korea, they might do something dangerous. You could corner anything. You could corner, a bunny rabbit. You could corner a mouse. If you corner any living creature, eventually it's going to lash back out at you. So let's talk about the Golan Heights thing. Here's this. Who was the owner before Israel? The Golan Heights is a rocky plateau in southwestern Syria. So when Donald took the Golan Heights, he helped Israel steal the Golan Heights from Syria. It was a political and strategic significance. And Israel had seized the Golan Heights from Syria in the closing stages of the 1967 Six-Day War. What is the Golan Heights? Who controls it? Southwestern Syria, south of Damascus. It's bordered by the Yarmouk River in the south and the Sea of Galilee in the west. The Golan is spread over the rugged basalt rock. You got the valley of, Bethsaida? The valley of Bethsaida, which is right next to the Golan Heights. and Bethsaida. I want to say Bethsaida. This is one of the cities that Jesus had condemned and cursed. Bethsaida Valley. So all the 3 cities and towns that Jesus had cursed, the Bethsaida Valley maintained. It stayed there. So we know that the city of Bethsaida is around there somewhere, but not exactly for sure. The Bethsaida Valley is at the steep foothills of the Golan Heights. Now we have another article here. Israel and Lebanon-based Hezbollah. This is from July. This is from a month or 2 ago. They're locked in a tense standoff. There was a rocket attack on the Druze town of Majdal Shams. This is on the Golan Heights. 12 people are going to get killed there. And many of them were children playing football. And 30 were wounded. The Israeli military accused Hezbollah of carrying out Saturday's attack, an allegation denied by the group. Israel fired a series of missiles into Lebanon since then, despite growing international calls for restraint amid fears of an escalation into a full-blown war. Now, it's interesting that people will say Israel's got a right to defend themselves, but they don't say Palestine has a right to defend themselves. You have the United Nations Security Council Resolution 497. This is adopted unanimously December 17th, 1981. It said that the Israeli Golan Heights law, which effectively had annexed the Golan Heights, is null and void and without international legal effect. 1981, that's Ronald Reagan. So Ronald Reagan is going to be in support of telling Israel to not settle. Do not put settlements on the Golan Heights. Called on Israel to rescind its action. The council requested the Secretary General to report to the council within 2 weeks. Israel did not comply with the resolution. And that's some information there. You heard the video where he's like, give me some history on the thing. Give me some history. So there I got a little bit of history. Now I did a little bit of research here. So when America moved our embassy to Jerusalem, we moved our embassy from Tel Aviv. So it used to be in Tel Aviv and now it's in Jerusalem. The reason why it was a problem during all the peace talks and the 2-state solution talks that people have tried, Clinton tried it, Jimmy Carter, I think everybody tried it. Bush Jr. tried it, Bush Sr. tried it. I want to say Reagan tried it. But Carter and Clinton significantly, because Carter and Clinton actually got a deal. And Mr. Dealmaker, Donald was Mr. Dealmaker, but he wasn't able to get a deal. He just kind of called the embassy of Jerusalem when it was in Tel Aviv and was like talking about Golan Heights. He was like, oh, I'll just take Golan Heights for the hell of it. Donald Trump didn't do much history because he's going to move the embassy to Jerusalem the day before the Nakba. The Nakba is the catastrophe. That's the day that, that's around 1948 when the colonization efforts took place. When Donald moved our embassy to Jerusalem, that very day, Israel killed dozens of Palestinian protesters. Dozens. We don't know the exact amount, so either 12, 24, 36. That month, total, 60 had been killed. I read another report, and thousands injured. Most of the protesters were unarmed. Some of them had Molotov cocktails. Some of them had rocks. There's 3 religions which claim Jerusalem as their religious capital, and that's Judaism, Islam, and Christianity, the Abrahamic religions. They all spiritually claim Jerusalem as their capital. When Donald moved our embassy to Jerusalem, he declared Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. He also withdrew out of the Iran deal. Mahmoud Abbas, the Palestinian president, said it was a slap in the face, and since that deal was done without their permission, without their accepting, he couldn't trust America to be non-biased with the peace talks. Well, Mr. Dealmaker, if you're going to make a deal, you gotta deal with the 2 parties as equals. You gotta deal very fair and square, balanced and even-handed. Do you not believe in being even-handed? How are you going to make a deal between Palestine? There's only 2 solutions here. Israel's going to keep on genociding unless, A, they start integration. Integration would mean You recognize Palestinians as citizens and you register them to vote. You have snap elections, and then the new person that's elected will have been chosen by both Palestine and Israel. So if you're not in favor of integration, it took America a long time to do integration. There was 300 years of slavery. There was that genocide. There was 100 years of segregation. Kamala came out of segregation. They're busing her across the way. She said she was that little girl. So Joe Biden had supported segregation. And because she had made a point of it, that's how she got the vice president position. And now she's in position using the 25th Amendment to become president. In previous peace talks, Palestine wanted Jerusalem as their capital. When Israel first took Jerusalem, they had the West Jerusalem. Then in the 1967 war, they annexed East Jerusalem. But it's been a very big sticking point with the two-state solution. So if we don't do integration, then we have to do the two-state solution. If we don't do integration, then it's either you live side by side as neighbors, or if you're going to live together, then you live together in peace and harmony by integrating, by saying we share businesses, we share communities, we share schools, we share hospitals. Those are the only two legitimate solutions to this whole thing. Two-state solution. You live over there and you live over there, and here's the line, and you don't cross the line. They got a wall already built. Don't cross the line. I think strong property lines makes for good neighbors. But I also think about East and West Germany. East and West Germany was separated forever. You want Israel to be united, then it's got to stop being a theocracy. It needs to be pluralistic. They need to do America as freedom of religion. We believe in freedom of religion here. And that's solved so many problems. The Buddhists can live there. The Muslims can live there. The Jews can live over there. The Christians can live over here. The Zoroastrians. For the longest time in Christianity, the Protestants and the Catholics were warring against each other. There's differences amongst Protestants. You got the Baptists, and then you got the Presbyterians, and then you got the Methodists. But because you have freedom of religion, well, you get to worship Jesus by your own conscience. You get to read your own Bible, worship Jesus by your own conscience. So that's just a little update on Israel-Palestine relations.